This segment of Bridge Street is sponsored by M-Factor.
With Valentine's Day less than a month away, you might be wondering what cool gadget to get your loved one. So we have Matt Mallory with us this morning from M-Factor. Good morning, Matt.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you for being with us. So you brought along some gadgets that Radio Shack was kind enough to lend us this morning, although I'd like to take this iPad home.
My wife wants that back.
Tell us about what is the latest and greatest in electronics right now. What's the up-and-coming thing to have?
Well, a lot of people are definitely looking at the different e-readers that are out there. Barnes & Noble, Amazon, Sony, they all have an e-reader that you can actually read books in a digital format, if you will. But my favorite and pushes me more towards is definitely the iPad. A little harder to read books because there is a little bit of a glare. It's not so much like a paper, if you will, a paper feel or look. But there's so many more things you can do with it that it makes it kind of like you just got to have it. It's kind of with all the apps. There's an app for that.
There's so much more technology out there.
Definitely.
And so many more chances for us to get them as gifts. Are we any more tech savvy than we've been in the past?
I think the hardest thing is people get scared of technology, and when they touch it, they're like, "Oh, I'm going to break it." And the thing is that you just got to dive into it. You've got to use it. You've got to play with it. You've got to figure out all the features. And that's just one thing that I've always done, and am able to take multiple technologies like this and combine them and print from the iPad to the printer, or remote from the iPad to the laptop, or Skype from the iPod to the laptop, etc.
So if people are having a lot of challenges with this new technology, that's kind of where you come into play at M-Factor, correct?
That's exactly what we do.
What type of services do you provide?
Everything from computer repairs, networking, education, teaching, all the way up to website design, website hosting, and marketing websites as well.
How do you get people past that scared point?
The one thing that I've always been told is that I've got a knack of being a geek, but then also being able to talk in layman terms. So being able to bridge that gap between the technology and making it comfortable for people to understand how all this works.
You would think with me being on the younger side, I would be a little more tech savvy. That is not the case. I actually have one of these, and I still haven't figured it out. I've owned it for months. Is this something that you would help out with, too?
Definitely.
Kind of understanding all of the apps on your phone and learning how to work best with that. How do you feel about phones? What do you think is the best phone to have? Is it a BlackBerry? Is it one of the Androids?
I've had a HTC Tilt for a few years, and the next thing that I'm actually going to be upgrading to is an iPhone. Just because of all the features, there's a lot of apps, and we're actually designing some apps for iPhones and iPads and whatnot. Any smartphone that'll do what you need it to. BlackBerries are starting to come around to the iPhone and the HTC Tilt and the Windows Mobile. They're starting to come around to doing the same things or curtailing to what you needed to do, whereas in the past it's always been just a little small QWERTY, not even a QWERTY keyboard, just basic, the texting keyboards that everybody's used to.
Do you find it easier to start with simple, just a few apps and work your way up, or is it better to just dive in?
Well, I think there's probably a couple hundred apps on the iPad right now, and that's a Christmas present, so it really depends. It depends on what you need it to do and what you're looking for. It can get overwhelming. If you put a ton of apps on there, then you're going to be jumping back and forth between apps. I'd say start with the apps that are going to help your day-to-day life work better, and that you can get around and do that'll actually help you function. A to-do list, a calorie counter, the recipe. There's recipe apps on there.
A lot of great stuff out there. Well, wonderful. Thank you so much, Matt. We actually have a discount deal for you. It's with M-Factor Technology, Electronics, Communication. Here's the deal. $25 for 1 hour of technical or electronic help. That's available now on 9WSYR.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.